So hi everyone, this is Sivanandham. I've secured All India rank 87 in UPSC CSE 2021 cycle, and it was my very first attempt in this examination. So one of the questions that I keep getting asked by aspirants is that how do you attempt questions in prelims and what is the strategy you use for mains? So in this video, I will explain to you how I handled my prelims scoring and how much marks I aimed in my mains. So prelims, as we all know, has been turning unpredictable and is more towards logical inconsistencies than towards factual knowledge. So in that way, in prelims, what most serious aspirants would know is 30 to 40 questions, they would know for sure. There will be an accuracy rate of 90 to 100%. But this, even assuming it's an 100% accuracy rate, 40 questions into 2 marks is only 80 marks, which is still less than the cutoff. The cutoff generally used to be close to 100, but in the last few years it has come down to 90. So that way, what we have to do is we have to do a lot of intelligent guessing in the examination hall to identify logical inconsistencies in the prelims question paper so that we can go above the cutoff score. So the strategy that I was using for prelims is that out of 100 questions, I would be attending 90 questions. In this 90 questions, I assume that I would know 30 questions 100% right. So the remaining 60 questions, I make an intelligent guess based on the half knowledge that I have, or based on any extreme words that is given in the question, or any other logical inconsistencies that my mind is able to identify in the given options. So in the 60 questions, assuming a 50% accuracy rate, I would get 30 questions right and 30 questions wrong. So that way my penalty is minus 20 marks and the positive score that I get is 60. And over here there's another 30 questions that I've got right. So I get 60 marks here, 32 sir. So cumulatively, now I'm having a positive score of 120 and my negative score is at 20. So my cumulative total is going to be 100. So this was a strategy that I was having in mind before I was attempting my prelims. So a slight modification to the strategy, because the cutoff has been going down year by year, is that instead of attempting 90 questions, we can attempt 85. So that way you still may get 30 questions right, and instead of guessing 60 questions, we would be guessing only 55 questions. So that still keeps us in the sweet spot and we will still be above the score of 90. So this is a strategy for prelims. And in mains, it is necessary for us to understand that this is a competitive exam and the main score plus interview is what gets us into the final merit list. There is no point clearing mains and failing an interview, because what it means is more than 7/8 of the score is from mains. Only 1/8 of the score is from interview. So if we go to interview and we miss out on the final merit list by a few marks, it is because our mains marks has been less than the required limit. So the mains cutoff itself does not matter. What matters is the final cutoff and our expected score in the interview stage. So this was the idea I had, and with that, when I planned my mains strategy for the number of marks that I need to get, scoring strategy for mains, out of the 7 papers that we have, essay, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, and then optional 1 and 2. So the aim that all of us should have, any serious aspirant should have, is that one must plan to score 100 marks in all 4 GS paper. So how this 100 marks comes up is that in every 10 mark question, one must aim for a 4 out of 10, and in every 15 mark question, one must aim for a 6 out of 10. Why I am saying this is that this 4 out of 10 and 6 out of 15, this is the average score that anyone can get. The topper in a 10 mark question may score 6 out of 10 and the topper in a 15 mark question may score 8 out of 15. But assuming that we don't get those exceptional answers, if we perform average in all the questions, we can still get a 4 out of 10 and a 6 out of 15 that cumulatively makes us get 100 marks in GS paper. So that way in GS 1 to 4 cumulatively we need to score 400 marks, and in essay the average that a serious aspirant should compulsorily aim for is 125. So scoring 125 means we are there in the majority bracket. the topper will still be somewhere around 145 to 150. But let's say we are 20 marks less than the topper, so but we will still be there in the merit list. So essay is 125, and in optional 1 and 2, once again it has to be 125 each. Cumulatively in optional, a score of 250 is considered good, and getting 250 in optional and 400 marks in GS and 125 in essay means we are very much in the competition to be there in the final merit list. So when you do this, the total that we get is essay, GS 1 to 4, optional 1 and 2. So it's 125, 100, 100. So this gives us a total of 775. So this year for 2021 mains, the general cutoff was 745. We are still 30 marks more than the general cutoff. It is very essential that any aspirant who clears mains should have this 30 mark buffer over the cutoff. This is because once you add the interview score to be there in the final merit list, this 30 mark is absolutely essential, or else in interview you have to be the all India topper. You have to score 210, 205, 215, that kind of score. But since that is not in our hands because of the subjectivity involved, assume that you score 170 to 190 depending on your potential of scoring in the interview level. So when I was doing my strategy, in interview, I was hopeful that even before going to the interview, I was hopeful that I will get 180. So that way, with the strategy that I am planning here, my mains plus interview, this score would be 775 plus 180, which is 955. So 955 is 1 mark above the general cutoff. 954 is the general cutoff for this year. So since it's 1 mark above the general cutoff, I would have been there in the merit list somehow. It does not, at least when I was preparing, I was not aiming for All India rank 1. I only wanted myself to be present in the merit list.